Hello, today I'll be talking about good songs from bad rock/metal albums. There are, of course, many albums that I could choose from, but I decided to randomly pick these 6 albums right here. So, yeah, this is in no particular order or anything, but we're going to go ahead and start off with Anthrax with their album Stomp 442. It's the second album from the John Bush era, and this album and Volume 8 are really the main reasons why I don't understand why people like John Bush more than Joey Belladonna. Now, if you just like John's voice more than Joey's voice, that's one thing. That's something I can understand and be cool with. But to actually prefer the John Bush albums over the Joey albums, that's something that just confuses me a little bit. Something I don't really understand because this album and Volume 8 are just bad in my opinion. I mean, there's worse albums out there, but I just don't get what people see in this album and Volume 8. But both albums do have a couple songs that I don't mind, but if I had to choose one good song from this album, it'd probably be Fueled, which is probably the best known song on here. The song is heavy, catchy, and easily the biggest highlight on here. I mean, Random Acts of Senseless Violence and Nothing are alright. They're okay. Not a whole lot to write home about, but still decent tracks. But the rest of the album, for me, just doesn't do a whole lot to really move me all that much. But yeah, definitely one of Anthrax's weakest albums in my opinion. Let's go ahead and move on to Def Leppard with their album X. This album is definitely a contender for maybe being my least favorite album from the band. I mean, this is maybe their poppiest, and really the only song that does it for me on here is Now. Now is definitely the song that I would choose if I had to choose a good song on here. I mean, sure, that song is definitely on the more commercial side or more poppy side, but I actually don't mind that song. Not a song that I return to a whole lot, but once in a while I'll go back to it if I'm in the mood for some Def Leppard. But yeah, the rest of the album just does nothing for me. I know some people like Long Long Way to Go, track number 5, and one of the more melodic songs, but that song kind of goes from one ear and out the other for me. I think they have way better ballads, but yeah, overall, a stinker in their discography in my opinion. Let's go ahead and move on to Iron Maiden with what I think is their worst album, Virtual 11. So yeah, the song that I'm going to choose from this album is Future Real. I mean, I could have chose Klansman too, but I'll admit I don't return to that song very much. Once in a long while I do, but not a lot though. But Future Real is probably the song that I return to the most from the album. But the rest of the album for me is just not great. It's either not great or just overall not very memorable, or maybe some of their most average moments in their discography. But Angel and the Gambler, one of the more infamous songs, especially for being repetitive, not just musically, but also with some of the lyrics. But Lightning Strikes Twice is fine, but nothing spectacular. But you move towards the second half of the album where things get pretty uninteresting and definitely not very memorable. I mean, tracks 5, 6, and 7, When Two Worlds Collide, The Educated Fool, and Don't Look to the Eyes of a Stranger. Those 3 songs had never really done a whole lot for me. They just, again, not very memorable and all around just not all that catchy. There isn't really much that really sticks out to me with those songs. And then you have the album closer, Como Estas Amigos, which I probably like more than the previous 3 songs, but that's not really saying much because I also don't find that song to be all that special, and overall not a very strong album closer either. But yeah, again, the song that I'm going to choose from this album is Future Real. Now let's go ahead and move on to Judas Priest with their album Demolition. So yeah, I got a promotional copy. I think I got this either from FYE's online store. I either got it there or Discogs. I can't remember. I think it was FYE though, but yeah, definitely one of Judas Priest's worst albums. This album and Nostradamus are their worst in my opinion. I know some people don't like Jugulator, which was the first album with Rip with Ripper Owens, but I actually like Jugulator. Sure, there's some pretty bad or cringy lyrics on that album, but I actually enjoy a good chunk of that album. I mean, I do like the title track, Bloodstained. I do like also Cathedral Spires, Burn in Hell. Now, I mean, the intro of that song or build up is way too long in that song, but still, I do overall like that one too. But this album is definitely a big step down from Jugulator, in my opinion. And they did experiment a little bit with their sound a little bit in this album. A little bit of electronic or industrial, but also a little bit of nu metal, you could say. Songs like Metal Messiah are definitely of its time and definitely have not aged well. Cyberface is another song that I would point to also, but if I had to choose one good song from the album, it'd probably be One on One. Sure, it's repetitive and doesn't really go anywhere spectacular or amazing, but still overall a pretty solid song, I'd say. I mean, rhythmically, honestly, I find it kind of catchy. And Machine Man, I think, is overall a fine track. Has some pretty rough, pretty lame, pretty dumb lyrics in that song, but a notable lyric in that song being you have loser tattooed on your face. I mean, to be this far in your career and write lyrics like that, I mean, come on, really? But also with Cyberface, you have the line, "Don't access the site or beware its megabyte." If I got the line right, I think that's really freaking stupid. But yeah, definitely one of Judas Priest's worst, but One on One, again, a decent track from the album. Now let's go ahead and move on to Korn with Path of Totality. So yeah, to sum things up, the band tried to do something new, something different, and it ultimately just fell flat. Just did not work for me. But if I had to choose one good song, I'd probably pick Narcissistic Cannibal. Fairly short song and all around pretty catchy song. Not as obnoxious as some of the other songs on here. I mean, Get Up is alright, but yeah, Korn's diving into dubstep just didn't really work for me. Now, if Korn and Skrillex, this collaboration, if it was more of some kind of remix album, if they decided to do a remix album instead, then maybe I wouldn't be as harsh, but to have it be just original material, and yeah, if the songs just in general just didn't really click with me, just did not work with me. And for me, the only album that I don't like from Korn, I mean, I know some people don't like Untitled, but that album has actually kind of grown on me a little bit. Now, I wouldn't say that I love it. I think I just say that I just like it. Kind of more on the just okay side. One of their weaker albums, but still, I do overall like the Untitled album. But yeah, with this album, I'm going to have to go with Narcissistic Cannibal. Now for the final album for this video, we're going to talk about Machine Head with Supercharger. I think most people would agree with me that this is definitely one of their worst, and on top of that, this album is way too long. Now, I know some people hate on the Burning Red, especially with the nu metal sound, but I like the Burning Red. I don't know if I'd call it one of their best, but still, overall, I do enjoy the Burning Red. There's some good stuff on there, but with this album, I mean, this was a part of their nu metal era, and I think the Burning Red definitely worked better than this album. I mean, the song that I would choose that I'd say is good is probably Bulldozer, but even with saying that, that's not really a song that I go back to very much. Crashing Around You is another song that I think is a song that I think is alright, but the rest of the album is either just straight up terrible or just goes from one ear and out the other, just in general not all that memorable. But yeah, definitely one of Machine Head's worst. But yeah, those are some good songs from bad rock/metal albums. Let me know your thoughts on my picks. Let me know if you can think of more examples in the comment section below and all that good stuff. But anyways, thanks for watching. Please leave a comment and like, subscribe. Have a nice day and take care.